the Honourable Speaker, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Cabinet Ministers, Honourable Leader of the Opposition and fellow Honourable Members of Parliament. Before I make my contribution to His Excellency's the President's most gracious speech, I'd like to offer my condolences to the family of Honourable Bulitavu for the loss of his dear father. I pray that peace will be your portion. May the late senior old boy, Mr. Nemani Bulitavu, rest in peace. I would also like to wish the Honourable Andiliti Angyon Baravi speedy recovery and prayers. Mr. Speaker, sir, I now wish to offer my congratulations to His Excellency on his appointment as the 6th President of the Republic of Fiji. And I must, from the onset, pay special attention to the acknowledgement of His Excellency, the President, that he is the youngest President to be appointed to the high office of the state. Mr. Speaker, sir, such an appointment is crucial as it sets the platform for young people to aspire to the same kind of esteemed appointments at a young age. It is refreshing to see that we don't have to be very old and retired to enter these various crucial appointments. Mr. Speaker, sir, it would be remiss of me not to thank the former President, His Excellency George Conrote, for his services to our country as its President in the last 6 years. We thank him sincerely, and whilst he may not have been the choice of the opposition camp, every time we met or visited the State House, he treated us no differently, as he knew exactly his role, which is to unify the nation and our people, disregarding the political differences that are irrelevant to nation building. It is these shoes that Tangone Turana Tui Maduata, Ratu William Ekatunibere, in his new role as our new President, will need to fill. I am comforted that he will do this even better, Mr. Speaker, sir, because his personality, his background has taught him to value all people at all times, irrespective of race, age, creed, religion or other personal preferences. Mr. Speaker, sir, today marks a special day in Fiji's history, post-COVID-19, as we again join our international friends in making Fiji an alternative place to live, travel, do business and holiday. Everyone has looked forward to this day, and I can imagine the prayers of each tourism industry worker, each hotel worker, each eatery owner who caters for this specific industry, and all those linked to this extensive sector in some way or another. Everyone has prayed and looked for answers to the difficulties we have all faced as a nation when COVID-19 hit our shores without warning and robbed families of economic independence. I know that we all know of family that has suffered silently because their usual lives have been turned upside down. I know of families that have been torn apart as a result of this cruel and unforgiving pandemic. We all know our children have suffered immensely because their usual needs have not been catered to, not by choice, but by unfortunate circumstances. Therefore, today, Mr. Speaker, sir, we must all celebrate as we slowly and carefully reopen our borders after almost 2 years without any international travel. And I know we have been all praying that our people who work in the tourism industry and have suffered extensively and unexpectedly can now return to some normalcy in their lives. And on that note, Mr. Speaker, sir, I send my love and prayers to all those in our front line as you all welcome our first visitors back to our shores. From our airport workers, flight crews, immigration and custom officials, the medical quarantine teams, the police and security personnel, and especially our hotel workers. You are in our thoughts, and I wish you well. Much safety and inspiration, that you will hold your heads high and carry out your duties diligently, so that any other threatening waves will not have to devastate our nation again, and no lives need to be lost because someone decided to lose concentration. It will be incumbent on you all to remember that you are our first line of defense. And whilst we will be cheering for you all the way, we will also have faith that you will conduct yourself in a responsible manner befitting the trust of a nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, as the nation picks up from where COVID-19 has reduced us to one that is now highly dependent on international aid and assistance, may I also take this time to thank our friends from around the world who did not turn a blind eye to our sufferings during such a time as this. Your assistance and support will be long remembered, and it is such justice that reminds us all of the saying, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will turn my attention to the issues of Fiji's young democracy as outlined by His Excellencies in his speech. And I entered politics when I was 42 years of age, and I know of others much younger who have also entered into this august house likewise. It has been a turbulent journey for me and for our young democracy to try as best as we can to hold on to the fabrics of sanity, most times as political differences and party differences have often threatened to compel me to walk away from such service and call of duty to our country. Like you, Mr. President, I watched from the sidelines for a long time the challenges our nations and our people have had to go through as we fought to understand how democracy is supposed to run and be experienced through the elections of leaders. I was one of the first persons to be unemployed and accused of misdemeanors in the 2006 coup. I'm well aware, however, that there are hundreds and thousands of others who suffered similar or worse in 1987 and in 2000. And such experiences have left a sour taste in people's mouth as we discourse in Fiji's political journey. I am therefore at pains to see that sadly, tribalism and egoism has been at the forefront of national politics and governance by so-called leaders over time, who instead of carrying out the crucial business of nation building, they have contributed instead to tearing down peace, tearing down unity and stability, because for them, their own status, their own pockets, and their own families have been more important than that young person, that young mother, that farmer, that villager who needs assistance and who went to the polls because they trusted that we would get to this august house and be true to our word to look after their needs. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, sir, many of us get to this house and never go back to see the people who gave us their votes. Many of us engage in lies during election campaigns, and we get votes using misinformation and disinformation. And these distortions confuse our vulnerable voters to vote for leaders who are only seen during election campaigns and disappear into the forest for the next 4 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, the business of entering Parliament must be a noble job, one which we are soon to engage in again through our national general elections to elect the next batch of leaders who will come and stand in this very place where I'm standing and advocate for the ordinary person on our streets and in our communities. Like the wise words of His Excellency, I long for the day I will see our young people, our people appreciate the guts of those who choose to come and provide services to our people through these historic hallways. I join His Excellencies in educating our people to appreciate the will to serve by those who will allow themselves to be candidates for the next elections. And I call upon people to engage in meaningful discourse. We must do away and denounce those who tear down aspiring politicians on social media and in public. We must denounce the personalization of attacks against candidates, especially uncalled for attacks against our women who are already marginalized in a predominantly patriarchal society. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important our people understand that election campaigns are a time for careful considerations of who we can entrust our lives to for the next 4 years as they become elected leaders. And so we must extract only the much needed messages to make well-informed choices. And any extra noises must be denounced and discouraged. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will now speak briefly on the issues of social and economic recovery. The world is being transformed by the COVID-19 crisis. Whose impacts are expected to be more severe than the 2008 financial crisis. Global poverty is set to increase, according to the World Bank, for the first time in 30 years, and developing countries risk falling further behind in meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fiji has been affected by historical declines in commodity prices and remittances, and unprecedented reversals in capital flows, which have fueled a deep loss of confidence and exacerbated vulnerability to other potential shocks. Already before the COVID-19 pandemic hit Fiji, we had been struggling with rising public and private debt levels. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is now time not to unnecessarily finger-pointing or play politics with our situation. In a one-for-all and all-for-one effort, we need all hands on deck and all wisdom to collectively address our various challenges so that we can reduce the risk and losses the pandemic has brought about. Therefore, the potential stress on development resources makes a tailored, a smart deployment of available resources more essential than ever. And thereby, such support must focus on fostering a recovery that addresses Fiji's most critical structural challenges. May I make a few suggestions, Mr. Speaker? Our country must take a multi-pronged approach to focus extensively on development of our domestic resources for both internal and external use. A lot has been said over the years about our agriculture sector, and I know that during this pandemic, families have been driven to now utilize land for their domestic consumption, as well as for commercial participation. And that is commendable, Mr. Speaker, and is incumbent on the Ministry of Agriculture to support this sector with well-planned out assistance by way of capital infrastructure, tools, seedlings, and other forms of technical assistance. I would like to request the government to also identify markets for these much-needed products, which can actually see a reversal of our import and export trends, if well-planned and executed. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is also the ocean-related initiatives that have not had the focus it deserves. Fiji needs to make our ocean-based sectors more sustainable and resilient, and this needs to be a priority in recovery efforts, together with unlocking new sustainable economic opportunities that can foster diversification and resilience. Fiji's vast ocean resources provide some of the most tangible opportunities for a more diverse set of economic activities, Mr. Speaker, supporting new and emerging ocean activities, ocean economy, opportunities in ways that foster significant linkages and multiply effects across multiple economic and social areas will be key to achieving a fast and resilient recovery. Such blue recovery will need to be centered around addressing the debt situation in Fiji, to preserve fiscal space for investments for sustainable and resilient recovery, enhancing the sustainability and resilience of critical and highly affected economic sectors such as tourism and other ocean economy sectors, making sure that support across these sectors includes a climate and broader environment focus, and exploring new ocean economy opportunities that sustainably foster economic diversification and resilience, including by exploring additional long-term development cooperation schemes such as international cost-sharing mechanisms for the conservation and sustainable use of ocean assets, and schemes to enhance expertise and risk assessment for emerging ocean-related economic activities. This is an area that will come under a lot of focus in the near future, and I'm sure if government conducts the necessary dialogue to secure proper bilateral agreements that can enhance these sort of trade opportunities, that will need the coordinated efforts of government, local resource owners, investors, and international partners. Mr. Speaker, let us be innovative and daring in our efforts to rejuvenate our economy. Other sectors that need attention include the building industry, Mr. Speaker, sir. I have emphasized in this August House before that housing needs will always be a security issue, and any responsible government will make the connection between the building industry and housing for our people. so that easy-to-build affordable homes become a private-public partnership program that is targeted to meet the needs of our first-time homeowners, our squatter settlers, and those in dire need for properties. This industry can become a partnership project between government and private sector players, something like the Housing Authority and Public Rental Board in association with landowning units, but perhaps done with construction companies that would be keen to give back their services for the betterment of our people at more affordable rates. If there are lessons we should learn from the COVID-19, it is to assist our people not to become displaced when unexpected occurrences happen, which can place them at vulnerable positions beyond coping. On that note, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Prime Minister, along with the Honourable Attorney General and the Minister for Economy, have just returned from Glasgow. And I note there are various recommendations and negotiations made, and my position on the climate change resilience and mitigation remains the same. Nothing for us without us. The government of the day needs to remember that the opposition members of parliament are also representatives of the people that make up almost 50% of those who voted in 2018. And so our involvement at such meetings would provide for a united effort to combat the effects of climate change. On that note, Mr. Speaker, here at the home front, there are a lot of issues that need addressing to assist our people economically, socially, and politically. And these needs range from infrastructure needs to education to social welfare, and these are very crucial issues which government is obligated to address. For electricity needs, Mr. Speaker, 5 villages along the Nassau Road access in Ra, namely Nawairoku, Korovo, Namara, Sawanivo, and Dulanuku, are requesting government, if it is possible, to consider giving them a Christmas gift by connecting the electricity from the already existing FEA grid. And I'm sure, with the Honourable Minister's concurrence, such a gesture would go a long way for uplifting the lives of our people, who will appreciate government that is responsible for their needs. Mr. Speaker, that's where you come in, Mr. Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, on the same token, my colleagues have also highlighted many roads around the country that need government attention, and it is hoped that these will likewise be addressed. I would like to request the government that the villages and settlements along the new Kamba Peninsula Road, their request for bus services to be provided in that area, as currently they have to hire vehicles to transport them to and from Nosori town. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the Ministry of Health, maybe the Honourable Minister can update this House on the new Rotuma Hospital construction phase 2. Some contractors are still awaiting payment from the RFMF for works already done 2 years ago. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, this year has been a bad year in terms of consistent water disruptions, especially along the Suva-Nosori corridor, as well as the Lami to Navo stretch. And each single day and night, water disruptions will be occurring, much to the sufferings of ordinary citizens who have had their complaints totally ignored. There is something that's just not right at the Water Authority of Fiji. Every time it rains heavily, water disruptions will occur, and excuses provided will be broken down dams and blocked pipes, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will said that the performance of a government will be measured during voting time. And I urge government not to forget the promises that they had made to our people and deliver on them. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, I take this time to wish your good self and your family a blessed festive season, and wish all the members of this August House a blessed Christmas and a safe passage for the year 2022. And I also wish each and every citizen of this great nation and all our friends and allies a peaceful season and a merry-making season as we celebrate the birth of Christ and prepare ourselves for what is in store for the new year to come. I also pray for the safekeeping over our contingent headed for the Happy Isles. And on that note, I want our brothers and sisters in the Solomon Islands to know that our thoughts and prayers are with you all as we traverse and maneuver your beautiful country through this challenging period in their lives. I also wish each seasoned worker, rugby players, caregivers, nurses, and all those professionals living and serving abroad and giving back to Fiji much success in your future endeavors, and know that you are loved and appreciated always for all that you do for your people and your beloved country. Nasa wale.